The first motorsports competition at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway took place in 1909 in the form of motorcycle races. Automobile races would soon follow. When the track's original surface of crushed stone and tar proved problematic, the owners paved the track with more than 3 million bricks, giving rise to the nickname the Brickyard. It wasn't until Memorial Day of 1911 that first 500-mile race was held at the Speedway and won by Ray Haroon in his Marmon Wasp. What quickly became known as the Indianapolis 500 became one of the nation's leading sporting events through the 1920s and 30s. To win the 500 was to achieve instant notoriety, and the names of early winners like Tommy Milton, Lou Myers, Wilbur Shaw are indelibly etched in the annals of American motorsports. A nationwide ban on motorsports during World War II nearly spelled the end for Indy, which lay in ruin when a consortium headed by Indiana businessman Tony Holman purchased the facility in 1945. Holman and his partners invested heavily in the facility and expanded the spectator capacity to the point that the Indianapolis Motor Speedway became the world's largest sporting arena for the Indy 500. The 500, the world's largest single-day sporting event with crowds regularly topping 350,000. The March of Progress also included the gradual process of paving over the bricks with a modern asphalt surface. By 1961, resurfacing had been completed, leaving just the famous Yard of Brick at the start-finish as tribute to the tradition of the Brickyard. In 1994, IMS President Tony George consummated an agreement with NASCAR to stage a stock car race, the Brickyard 400 at the Speedway. The first open test for NASCAR drew nearly 10,000 fans, and a new chapter of motorsports was added to Indy history. Tonight, it's the Davidson Builders Super Speedway Series, and it's next on HBR TV. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the virtual Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Qualifying just wrapping up here at Indy as we really didn't plan on any of this tonight. Last minute call up, I hear, to cover tonight's race here for AAA Broadcasting. Unable to get the job done this evening as other commitments have come up. No worries. We're happy to fill in for them as they have filled in for us in the past. But we're ready to go here. We're starting grid time, so let's take a look at it. Starting grid for tonight on the pole position with a lap time of 51.702. It's the 71 of Connor Leach. Outside front row in the number 6 machine, 1/1000th of a second shy. It's Caleb Sisk. Starting in the second row, it's Vincent Short and Justin Lawson. Row 3, it's Brandon Coleman and Chris Klein. Starting in the fourth row, it's Skylar Harrod in the number 3 with double-aught Joe Bennett in the 00, starting in the 8th spot. 9th goes to Nick Tucker. 10th, Mark Collins. Paul Durkee will start from the 11th position. 12th goes to Albert Anderson. 13th starter, it's Nick Biddy in the number 32. Anthony Williams rolls off in the 14th spot. 15th starter, it's Tom Barish. 16th goes to Chris Jordan. 17th starter, number 31 out of Indiana, is Scott Milner. Joe David, the number 2, will roll off 18th. 19th goes to Ben McKinnon in the 12th. And Chuck Kiger, hopefully I'm saying that one right, the number 22 will roll off 20th and shotgun on the field. That's your starting grid here for the Davidson Builders Super Speedway Series, live here from Indianapolis on HBR TV. Field sits here on the front straightaway here, awaiting everyone to get gridded up here. Ladies and gentlemen, watching tonight's broadcast, the stream chat is open. Feel free to check in, say hello, and I'll keep the chat going throughout tonight's race. I'll try to interact with you guys as possible. Again, I'm Steve Singer here with HBR TV. Let's take a look at the race details this evening. Of course, it is the Davidson Builders Super Speedway Series from Indianapolis. It's not 80 laps, it's 90 laps. We'll get that squared away here in just a second. In fact, there it is, it's fixed. But a 90-lap race here, settle it. Covering the broadcast this evening for AAA Broadcasting. They are the typical broadcast platform for this series. We'll pick up the Gen 6 series, I believe, here in July. I'm not going to lie, folks. I am out of breath. Found out about this about 20 minutes to 8 here this evening. Whew. Getting everything squared away here before we go green. EV Racing says, did this track get updated in the last release? I'm not 100% sure. I know it was updated somewhat recently. Again, race distance here tonight, 90 laps. A lot of familiar names in this series. Now, by distance alone, it is the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It meets the criteria for a super speedway, but you know what? I'm not going to complain. We're at Indy. We're getting ready to go green. Barney's got that flag in hand, getting ready to throw it. Field 2 by 2 as they come down the main straightaway. He gets the command. Barney's waving the green flag, and we're underway from Indy. Quickly, the 6 of Caleb Sisk out in front. Caleb also goes by Josh. I'll probably call them both here tonight. Half a lap complete, half a lap plus as the field works turn number 3 into the short chute, the second short chute. Sisk with a 3-4 truck length advantage over the 71 of Connor Leach. Third runs Justin Lawson, Vincent Short fourth. Skylar Harrod rounding out the top 5. Back to the main straightaway to complete lap number 1. Pretty significant gap from first to second, all things considered. About 5, maybe 6 truck lengths. Couple of buses if you want to go that far. The 71 running second. Lawson still third. A couple of car lengths off the tailgate of the 71 of Leach as they get down the back straightaway for the second time this afternoon. City of Indianapolis in the background. Interestingly enough, the race facility, the circuit itself, doesn't actually sit in Indianapolis proper. It is actually Speedway, Indiana, fitting considering what lies at its heart. Back to the start-finish here to complete the second lap. Lap 3 goes up on the board. Sisk still out in front. We got a possible, taking a peek there, Justin Lawson looking to the inside of Connor Leach down into turn 1. Not close enough to do anything with it, but Vincent Short looking a little racy there in behind. He ducks to the inside, middle of turn number 2. Does he have room? He slides up, has to pedal it just a bit. Out of the throttle is Vincent Short. Opens the door for the 3 of Skylar Harrod just a bit, but Short closes the door on corner exit, down the back straightaway. Short hangs on to the 4th spot. Skylar Harrod there trying to take advantage, but so is 00 Joe Bennett. Bennett gets to the inside of the 3 in turn number 3. He's going to likely take that position. Still not quite clear on corner exit. Now can he do something with the 3 into turn number 4? Right on board with Nick Tucker. Tucker rides in behind 00 Joe. Oh, close quarters there. Almost some contact with Tucker and Bennett. Tucker takes a position away from Skylar Harrod. Harrod was battling there. Now he slips back to the 7th spot. Top 5 looks like Sisk, Leach, Lawson, Short, Bennett for the time being. Speaking of Vincent Short, he's up into the 3rd spot. Takes that away from Justin Lawson. Hunting the truck in front for more. That would be Connor Leach. Sisk still out in front, has led every lap to this point, started outside front row. Sisk still maintaining that top spot, though not quite as large an advantage as he previously had over the 71 of Leach. It's down to about 2 truck lengths, maybe 3 if we want to be super generous. Sisk has shown a very innate ability to maintain the tires on his race vehicle, whether it's a car or truck, a modified, late model, you name it, doesn't seem to make a difference. He's good at taking care of his equipment, not burning off the tires early on in the run. That might be what we're seeing here, just trying to save his stuff, keep the tire temperatures down, so that when the time comes he needs to push, he can do just that. Maybe even squeak an extra lap or 2 before he makes the pit stop. Speaking of pit stops, drivers do have 2 tire sets available to their use over the wall. 1 on the truck, of course, to start tonight's race. Total of 8 tires sitting over pit wall if they choose to take it. However, a 65% fuel load. I don't know what the actual window is this evening. Hopefully somebody in the stream chat might have some information on that. Help us out again. It was less than an hour before we found out we were going to go live here tonight, but here we are. We're getting it done. Hopefully the pictures look good to you guys out in YouTube land. We appreciate you checking in for it for sure. As we said early on in the broadcast, the stream chat is open and available, so feel free to jump in, say hello, tell us where you're watching tonight's broadcast from, who your driver is if you've got one. Top 4 unchanged in the last handful of laps. Last bit of movement would be Vincent Short jumping into that 3rd spot. He started there, wasn't able to maintain it initially, but has gotten it back. Checking out some other battles on the racetrack right now. Anthony Williams hanging out of the 14th position. He's got Tom Barish in that white number 55, right in the tire tracks, trying to reel him in. Derek Welch says, I'm here, but I missed the question. I don't know. I don't even know if there was a question. There might have been. If there was, I already forgot it. So disregard there, Derek. I guess it was where you're watching from, who you're cheering for. I mean, I don't know. You got to remain impartial, I guess. But we got Daniel Pochleg. Hopefully I'm still saying that right. Says, let's go Joden. I think it's Jordan, number 78. Yeah, it is Jordan. Chris Jordan back in the 17th spot in the number 78 machine. Joshua Sisk maintaining a half-second advantage still over second-place running machine Connor Leach. I know, Daniel. Chris Jordan, we found him. Running back in the 17th spot in that number 78 machine. Find him once again here as he's trying to reel in Scott Milner. Milner just ahead there in the number 31 machine, the Toyota Tundra TRD Pro. About 3-4 truck lengths off the tailgate of that number 31 machine as we've got 10 laps complete here from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Daniel Potschlag says he's driving the Chevy Raptor. I'd be curious to know how that one works. I thought a Raptor was a Ford product, but I could be wrong. Derek Welch says, we usually have a bigger field, but I think we have some on strike. Well, I think I mentioned it earlier on the broadcast. I mean, this truly, I mean, yeah, it meets the definition of super speedway by its length in general, but I don't know, Indianapolis is just Indianapolis. So it's hard to really categorize it as a speedway. Yeah, it is a motor speedway, as they even coin it, but it's really unique. It is 2.5 miles in length, of course, but relatively flat. And even though all four corners look pretty similar, they do kind of drive somewhat different from each other. They're not identical by any means. They were intended to be, but there was no such thing as laser scanning of angles and things like that when they laid this facility out way back 100 plus years ago. Again, first race here, 1911. They just finished up the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500 here recently. So yeah, this place has been around a while. Indy is just Indy. It's just like Daytona is Daytona. Granted, we can easily call Daytona a super speedway. As we talked about, Joshua Sisk was starting to have a little bit larger image of Connor Leach in his rearview mirror a while ago, but that deficit has grown once again now. It's about 3/4 of a second that Sisk has on the field. Might have been taking care of his stuff to see what those guys behind really have for him. He's picked the pace back up and now stretches it to almost a full second now. And 13 laps complete here in Indianapolis. We may see these drivers hit pit lane here somewhat soon with a 65% fuel load. Again, I'm not 100% what the actual fuel window is. If anybody is out there watching tonight's stream, feel free to jump into that stream chat. Let us know what the pit window is supposed to be for at least the fuel side of things. Of course, 2 sets of tires over the wall, that's up to them when they do it. So Derek Welch, I think he's getting defensive on us here, but he goes, we call it a super speedway league, but I don't like schedules with just that. So I like to have the skilled guys shine here and there. You know, it's not a bad way of doing it. It is heavy on the super speedway side as far as the schedule is concerned, but yes, he does pepper in some tracks that are still large as far as that's concerned, but not quite a super speedway. But it really does throw in a different skill set. And, you know, you don't have a restricted style engine here or a tapered spacer as some of these vehicles are running these days, comparative to like a Talladega or Daytona or even the iRacing Super Speedway that sometimes these guys have run in the past. EV Racing jumps in, says about 20 laps per tank. That's good to know. We're getting close there, about 5 laps shy. Top 3 starting to separate themselves from each other pretty significantly. Sisk with a full second back to Connor Leach, and about 1.2 from Leach back to Vincent Short. And about 0.8 from Short to Lawson, 0.6 from Lawson to Tucker. Total of 3.5 seconds from the first position to 5th as they run for the time being. We'll see what the pit stop cycle does. If we remain under the green flag, we will see these drivers trying to gain, maybe even lose some position, certainly not trying for that, during the entrance of pit lane and exit. Guys that can wait till the very last second, get on the binders here to slow down to pit road speed without getting dinged for speeding, can gain a lot of time in doing just that. For instance, if the pit road speed limit's 55 miles an hour. If you get that truck down to 52 miles an hour, 3, 4, 5 feet before the pit road speed limit starts checking that speed, well, you've lost time. You've lost distance on the racetrack, track position being so important. But if you can really time it just perfect, A lot of these guys do attempt to practice that during the practice session, entry to pit lane. You can pick up a lot of time comparative to the guys that might be a little more timid, want to take their time and be careful as to not get a speeding penalty on pit entry. Same is true on pit exit. Rather flat once you get out of there with those cold tires. You push the envelope, but you got to be careful. Tail end of that race truck can come around on you if you're not smart about it, and then all of a sudden that time that you may have gained goes out the window. Nick Turner up 4 positions into the 5th spot, started just inside the top 10. Keeping an eye on that number 88 truck as we have seen some connection issues with it here a couple of times in these first 17 laps. Disappeared there for a brief moment. A little bit of a wiggle there out of the 88 truck down into turn. I think that's turn 3. I don't know if he had a fuel pickup issue or if had a different problem, but nonetheless, he's still on the racetrack. We're still a few laps shy of seeing green flag stops. We'll see what happens here. Does Tucker make the attempt at this opportunity? He does. Tucker pulls off turn number 4. He's going to come down, hit pit road. There we see him. I got to wonder if that really was an issue with the fuel pickup. Tucker shook the truck down the backstretch into turn 3, trying to slosh some more fuel on the right side of that tank. Here he is. Makes a stop in the pit stall. He's going to take right side tires. I don't know. Two sets available over the wall. I don't know if I would have taken them just yet. Maybe fuel only this time, especially considering we're still under green. This place is pretty big. He may still be able to get out there and stay on the lead lap. But no, here comes Caleb Sisk off turn number 4. Tucker's certainly going to lose a lap. We got K-Dub in the stream chat. Typically the number 42 in this league. Wish I could have made it tonight, but sadly on vacation. Good luck to everyone. Not sadly. You deserve a vacation. Enjoy it. With that said, though, Tucker is still sits in pit lane. I don't know if he got popped for speed, and we're going to find out here in a minute. It's usually a 40-second penalty. He still sits there in pit lane. See him from this angle or that angle. There we go. Tucker down and away, 54.77, so a 14-second stop. That's 4 tires and fuel plus the speeding penalty. It's too bad. Tucker had a good run going. I don't know if he's going to be able to make that up, at least without getting that lucky dog at some point. Meanwhile, Joshua Sisk still on front. Here he comes down pit road. Leaders coming down to get their service for the first time today. Sisk hard on the binders on entry. Many other drivers going to join him. Connor Leach is one of them. Vincent Short's going to inherit the lead. He stays out on the racetrack. So does Justin Lawson, Paul Durkee, Double O Joe, and Brandon Coleman, Mark Collins, Anthony Williams. Then it's Caleb Sisk, Connor Leach, Chris Klein, Anderson, Harad, Biddy, Barish, Milner, McKinnon, Jordan, and David. They all hit pit road for their first green flag stops of the night. Daniel Poshlag. These guys are spread out like Stranahan's teeth. I got to admit, man, that's a funny one. Tristan Cotton says, messed up my wrist yesterday. Wish I was running, but glad I had enough points to make the playoffs. Quick pit stops. Chris Klein leaves. Looks like Sisk, Leach, Klein. Those guys took, well, it could have been fuel only. Could have been right sides only. Hard to say. Welch says, yes, speeding. He was referring to Nick Tucker, too fast on entry. Meanwhile, Vincent Short and company from Short, Lawson, Bennett, Coleman, Durkee, Collins, Williams, Kiger. Top 8 drivers that stayed out an extra lap. They hit pit lane here. You see them all tending to their crews. Looks like Lawson missed the pit box, had to back it up just a hair. That's going to cost him some time, especially considering we are still under green. Vincent Short drops the jack. He's down and away. Vincent Short, after his pit stop, he's going to fall back into the third spot. Might lose that here with Chris Klein up on the racetrack, and Short still on the flat on pit exit. He's going to tuck in behind the 51. He'll have a little bit of work to do to reel him back in. Back to the front, though, it's Joshua Sisk and Connor Leach, 1 and 2. Chris Klein runs third, Short fourth, as we said. And now Albert Anderson jumps into the fifth spot. Speaking of Albert Anderson, haven't heard that name in a little bit of a while. Good to see him back out there running a Folgers number 99 machine. Chevrolet Silverado. Back out front, on board now with Joshua Sisk, looking back towards the second place machine of Connor Leach. That cycle of pit stops, we talked about it before it got underway, how you can have time to be gained and time to be lost. Well, Sisk and Leach, they picked up a ton of time on the rest of the field as third place Vincent Short now runs back about 6 seconds in the rears of the top two. Leach was able to hang tight there with Sisk, about a half second still off the tailgate of the number 6 machine as they get back to start finish. Vincent Short still in third, no trouble ahead, no trouble behind for the time being. We watch the battle now with Brandon Coleman. Coleman in the number 19, he's got Double O Joe at the rear view. Coleman doing a good job staying ahead of the Double O of Joe Bennett. Let's put a couple of few car lengths, or truck lengths that is. Bennett had a little bit of a moment there off turn number 4. Had to chase the race truck up the racetrack just a bit. Oh, the 19 in the fence off the exit at turn number 2. That's going to open the door here, I think, for Joe Bennett. Bennett's going to get on by the outside. Coleman knew it. He got in the fence on the exit at turn number 2. Certainly broke the momentum with the number 19 truck. Bennett takes advantage. He gets up into that 7th spot, takes it away from Coleman. This battle still happening within the top 10. Back out front. Change for the top spot. Connor Leach has passed the 6 of Joshua Sisk. Try and get a look at that here in just a minute. See if I can find it here in the loop. And here it is, just a moment ago. Leach had a run off turn number 2, gets to the inside down the back straightaway. I think Sisk just kind of yielded the position for the time being. Fuel strategy could be at play here. Certainly able to save a lot more fuel if you trail the driver that's in front versus being in the lead. Sisk has lost 2 spots since then. He slips back to the 3rd position as Vincent Short now quickly caught these two, jumps up into the 2nd spot now, and he's all over the back bumper of Connor Leach. I don't know what happened there, but we're good to go now. Vincent Short quickly takes over the top spot. We lost the world for a moment. Thank goodness we're back. So, new leader, it's Vincent Short here at the front of the field at Indianapolis. Somebody's saving something. We know Vince is fast. There's no doubt about that. He runs well at these super speedways, certainly even here at Indy. Solid qualifying position, now continues to lead this race. Connor Leach second. Now, third is Albert Anderson. Sisk has slipped back to fourth. Chris Klein now up to the fifth position. There could be, I don't think it's tire strategy at this point. I think it's all boiling down to fuel. Anderson taking a look now inside of Connor Leach into one. 27 laps complete, almost 1/3 distance here from Indy. Derek Welch in the chat says, I was about to get a 50% discount. It's funny that you say that because I was thinking the same thing. Vincent Short back to the stripe here is going to start lap 28. Sizable advantage over the second place machine of Albert Anderson, 1.4 seconds. Back to the number 99. Leach and Sisk, third and fourth. Again, those guys have to be in a situation where they're saving tires. They were so fast in those early stages prior to our first green flag stop. EV Racing letting us know here that the 15 took tires. Yeah, some did, some didn't. I wasn't sure at the 12-second stops I saw if there was any right side tires involved there, but nonetheless, tires or no tires. I'm sure Sisk and Leach trying to save some fuel at the same time. We've learned a lot in this game. And I don't mean to call iRacing a game. That's not what I meant. Calm down, everybody. But in this game of racing, that last stop, make it as short as humanly possible, and that is the best way to go about things. It doesn't matter if we're in the Gen 7 car, Xfinity, or even these trucks. Least amount of time you can spend stationary at any of these races, the better. Joshua Sisk back in the fourth position. But yeah, to expand more on the EV Racing comment about tires, as we see Coleman and Harad exchanging some positions. Looks like Harad's going to take that one away. It's the guys that did not take tires on this first stop. And I mentioned it when we saw Tucker come down. Granted, he got popped for speeding, but I mentioned it when he came down and took those tires. I felt it was a little bit early. I think it was about lap 17, maybe 18, where Tucker hit pit lane and took 4 tires. It's all fine to do that, but the problem is that takes a set away and leaves you with 1 set left to make a decision with. And that means, okay, do we take it here in the midsection of the race or do we take it late? As it stands right now, those guys that were fast in the first third of this race, they've got 2 sets of tires still over the wall. Derek Welch says, you just offended 90% of the iRacing community. Well, that's what I'm good for. I'm certainly good at defending people. It's a plus. Hey, we got Turzak Racing here with HBR, or saying HBR TV. Kyle Turzak running in the IROC Challenge Series. They're running the late models here coming up pretty soon. I think we got a race or 2 left, and that's over. Turzak been dominant this season. Potschlag, he's talking about me calling iRacing a game. I didn't really call it a game, but I mean, it is a game. It's a simulation game. There. Now I got everybody mad. Well, with that, 31 laps complete here. We're a third distance here from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Vincent Short continues to lead this field with a sizable advantage over Albert Anderson. We're going to step aside, get an HBR TV side-by-side break out of the way. Stay with us. We'll be back after this.
I met Marco Sgarza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Back at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, 35 laps complete. Vincent Short still leads. Getting the conversation in the chat prior to going to break here, talking about Vincent Short on fresher tires. That is indeed the case. So is Albert Anderson. However, both drivers certainly fast to begin with. Vincent Short starting in that third spot. Anderson starting back in 12th, but certainly not known as a solid qualifier, but usually performs pretty well in these races. So to no one's surprise that he's up into the top 5 to this point. Watching the number 13 machine in the 6th spot, that's Paul Durkee. Kyle Turzak in the stream chat says, I'm not dominant, I'm just quick. Well, I think it's like an 86% win percentage. I would say that's pretty dominant, regardless of your pace. Not that we're complaining. It's impressive and it's fun to watch. Meanwhile, Nick Tucker back on pit lane here, based on his previous stop, right on schedule. We'll see if he made it down to pit lane speed without going too fast on that first timing line. Tucker in the box. 12.4 seconds for the 88 of Tucker. Now that's going to be a fuel-only stop. Saving that set of tires. Obviously, remember we said he took that first set early on, and that first pit stop, I don't know. And honestly, it's probably a bit of a waste at this point because he got penalized. You certainly don't plan on being penalized on pit entry for speeding, but he burned those tires anyway, so now he's got some work to do. He's made up some ground. Prior to the pit stop, he came in, I think it was 13th or 14th, so still able to salvage it to this point. Race isn't over. We're not even halfway just yet, about 8 laps shy. Joshua Sisk now makes his run down into pit lane. We'll see. I'm going to expect him to take tires at least this time. Joshua Sisk. Now, Connor Leach, I think, stayed on the racetrack. Indeed, he did. He's still marked as the third-place machine. Jack onto the right side of the Joshua Sisk machine. Right side tire change. Fuel going in. Left side tires as well. So it's going to be a 4-tire stop. Sunoco Racing Fuel. Down and away goes Joshua Sisk. He's going to rejoin the action here. 14.73 second stop for Sisk. Not too shabby. Albert Anderson now, he's going to make his way down pit lane. So is Connor Leach. So back into our second round of green flag pit stops. Didn't take long. Four tires for Albert Anderson. He is down and away, 14.78 seconds. Connor Leach, that number one pit stall, he drops the jack and lights him up on exit. 14.65, 4 tires and fuel for the 71. Skylar Harrod still sits in his pit stall. It's going to be a 4-tire change as well. 14.63 for the driver of the number 3 machine. Chris Klein pulls it into pit lane. Agonizing pace. 55-mile-an-hour speed limit here at Indy. Seems like a fancy speed, fine speed to drive when you're in your street car, but when you're used to running 190 miles an hour down the front stretch here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, 55 feels like you're in rush hour traffic doing 10 mile an hour. Right side goes in the air for Klein. Right side tire change. Sunoco Racing Fuel going in. Crew drops the jack around to the left side. Going to be 4 tires and fuel for Chris Klein. Drops the jack down and away. 14.38 is the pit stop for Klein. A great pit stop. Very quick. A little slow getting out of the box, but he had room to make it happen. Back in action. Klein still marked as the 11th place machine. Race leader Vincent Short comes to a stop in his pit stall. And it's fuel only for Vincent Short, 12.38 seconds, so a quick stop for the 15. Remember, he took 4 tires on that initial pit stop, so he's got 1 set over the wall. Didn't want to burn them at this stage. He's going to suffer here for a little bit without those fresh tires, but he'll have a clean set to work with for the final stop of this race if he chooses to go a double stint on this set. So meanwhile, Double O Joe is out in front as your race leader. His pit stop last came at lap 20. I would expect to see him enter pit lane this time. Lift and coast into turn 4. You hear him out of the throttle trying to save as much fuel as possible. Off turn number 4, makes the hard left into pit lane, and here he comes. Joe Bennett from the race lead. There he is. So that's going to give the lead back to Vincent Short. And Albert Anderson, he took his last set of tires on that pit stop, so he comes back out in the second place. He's going to catch Vincent Short here, likely going to take the lead from him when he gets there. But now he doesn't have an extra set of tires over the wall for later on. Double O Joe drops the jack. He takes 4 tires and fuel. 14.65 the stop for Joe. Chuck Kiger as well. He's down and away, or is he entering? I think he's done. 14.90, so 4 tires for the 22 as well. Vincent Short in command, now 2.4 seconds ahead of Albert Anderson. It was about 4 seconds, I don't know, just a moment ago. Anderson's going to reel him in a hurry. Last lap for Vincent Short was a 55 flat versus Albert Anderson with those new tires. He ran a 53.36. Say about another lap or so, he's going to be right there on that tailgate of the 15. Short continues to lead 1.2 seconds, the gap back to Anderson, but it's shrinking quickly. Three-quarters of a second and falling. Anderson is there. He's going to look to the inside. Yes, he is. For the top spot in Indianapolis, Anderson goes down low into turn number 1, takes the top spot. Vincent Short now back to P2. Anybody else coming? Not just yet. But new leader, Albert Anderson here, lap 45. Just halfway here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and you see the deficit. He's already up to almost a full second advantage over Vincent Short with those fresh tires. The final stop of the race, that's what we're looking for here, and it's not going to be long before we get there. Albert Anderson made his pit stop at lap 38, so expect to see him again here in lap 58. Oh man, but that's going to put him in position. He might need a splash and go or maybe a caution. Some of these guys are going to run out a couple of laps to go in this race unless they find a way to save some fuel. Bart Collins back in the 17th position. Collins the last truck on the lead lap currently in that number 23 City Chevrolet machine. Connor Leach jumps up into the second spot, takes that away from Vincent Short. Again, Leach took tires on his pit stop as well, and if I remember correctly, he should still have a set over the wall, so he's putting himself in a good position here. Question is, does he go an extra stop on that set of tires? Does he wait till that final pit stop to take that final set that he's got parked over the wall? You know, somebody said earlier in the chat, I think it was EV Racing, that 20 laps was about the race, or about the distance on a tank of fuel. If you do the math on that, with no cautions, that's 4 pit stops. That last stop would come at about lap 80 with 10 to go. Do you take the tires on your second to last stop to get the full benefit out of them, or do you chance it? Hopefully catch a caution in or around after those pit stops are complete. Because if you don't get it, you're only going to get about 10 laps out of that final set. A lot of strategy at play here at Indianapolis. It almost plays out like a road course, though it's certainly not. But with that said, a lot of guys can kind of strategize this place like a road course, very similar to Pocono Raceway. You kind of work it backwards. Come down and hit pit lane at your first opportunity, kind of work the race backwards. Now, if guys were going to do that, you would have expected to see them hit pit road at about lap 10 or 11. Would have really put them off sequence. I don't think anybody attempted that. But with this race running long and green the way that it has, I'm not so sure it would have been a bad plan. Come down, hit pit road at lap 10, take fuel only. Of course, at that point in the game, the tires are still in decent shape. Second pit stop should come roughly lap 30. Then you take a set of tires. Lap 50, you pit for fuel only. And then at lap 70, you pit again, obviously for fuel, and then you take your final set of tires and carry it all the way to the win. Now that all works out fine, unless you start throwing cautions into the mix, and then that strategy is not as effective. Also got to consider that green-white checkered finish. If the caution comes out real late and you don't have any tires left, and some guys do, well, you're kind of dead meat. It's just one strategy at play. Fortunately, it's not at play here tonight, I don't believe. I think the first driver we saw hit pit road was indeed the number 88 of Nick Tucker. He came down, I think it was lap 18. However, he did get popped for speeding. It's the first truck one lap down, though. If the caution comes out, he'd get that lap right back. Albert Anderson still in command of this race. Connor Leach runs in the second spot. Third place, Josh Sisk. Vincent Short is fourth. Chris Klein running in the fifth spot. Leach dealing with Tucker here. Again, the lap truck, the number 88 machine. Tucker still the first truck, one lap down, so he would be in that lucky dog position should the caution come out. And Chris Klein hits pit road. Nick Biddy, Joe David as well. Only stop for Biddy. Rather short stop, 7.1 seconds for the 32. Some other drivers, Paul Durkee, Justin Lawson, Mark Collins. It's tough when you think the pit window is 20 laps and you only make it 18. It just compounds the problem pit stop after pit stop. You make 3 stops, 2 laps shy of what we anticipated the window to be. You've effectively lost 6 laps as far as that fuel window is concerned, if it continues the way that it is, you may, in essence, add an extra pit stop to your day. That's certainly not going to be a good thing for anybody in that situation. Got to find a way to save that extra fuel, and it becomes a bigger problem as the race goes on. You're not able to save enough to make up for what you lost. Daniel Potschlag says, can we name Chris Klein's 51 machine the Angry Beaver? I mean, we can, but, you know, we make a joke about it, but, I mean, it legitimately, I mean, it's a legit thing. It's Beaver Direct. It's Beaver Toyota. It's an actual dealership. This isn't a joke, folks. That's what it is. It's funny. It's cute. I like it. Oh, Tucker in the wall. Entrance to pit lane. Trying to get a view of it here. Yep, there it is. He hit the inside pit wall. I guess it's the inside wall on pit entry. It's a little bit narrow there. Continues on. No caution. We stay green. Scott Milner into his pit stall. Double O Joe Bennett. 55 miles an hour down pit lane. Albert Anderson continues to lead. Second place, Connor Leach, but Connor Leach now pulls it to pit lane. And these guys are still, I think they're going to have to make an extra stop. Even if Leach can stretch it to lap 75. I mean, he may have to stop with 5 to go. No, he should be good from here. If he makes this pit stop, lap 75 should be his next if he can go a full 20 on the tank. And then he should be good to go without any kind of fuel save. Skylar Harrod in the pits as well. Can't see him from this angle. That's better. Could this be fuel only for the 3? Yes, indeed. Now, I don't know if he's out of tires at this point. Again, I don't have that information available to us. No pit reporter here at HBR TV, but Harrod down and away. Might have a set still in pit lane that he could take here in that final stop in and around lap 75. The best way to go about this is if he does still have a set over the wall is you come down pit lane with about, I don't know, 20 or 19 to go. You take those tires, as we talked earlier, get full benefit out of the fresh rubber. Meanwhile, Albert Anderson still out front. Anderson's last stop coming at lap 38. Expect to see him down pit lane here at any moment, whether it's this lap or the next. And there it is. Anderson from the race lead hits pit road. And it'll give Vincent Short the race lead, provided Short doesn't come down pit lane, and there he is. Short back to the point. A fuel-only stop for Albert Anderson. 11:72. Anderson's going to rejoin here in a decent spot. He's now down to 4th position after the stop. Joshua Sisk coming there in the 5th position. He'll clear him, so Anderson now 5th. Chuck Tyler in 6th. Might get clear, not sure where he's at. Vincent Short now from the race lead. He's in the pit lane. Right side tire change for Vincent Short. Does he opt for 2? No, it's going to be 4 tires and fuel for Vincent Short. He's going to drop the jack, head back out into the action. One more final stop here. I think that's going to do it for tires for Vince. He's going to have to make one more stop for fuel before this one is over. He rejoins the fight. Meanwhile, Brandon Coleman takes over the top spot in the number 19 machine. Coleman with a 3.8 second advantage over Connor Leach in the 2nd spot. Then it's Joshua Sisk, Chuck Kiger, Albert Anderson, the top 5. 60 laps just about complete here from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We're going to step aside here, take another HBR TV side-by-side break. Stay with us. We'll be back after this.
I met Marco Scarza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Back at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Connor Leach now out in front. Joshua Sisk runs second. Albert Anderson runs third. Top three drivers made their pit stops. Lap 54, 52, and 58 as Vincent Short jumps into the third spot. Vince did take tires on that final stop, or most recent stop, not the final stop of tonight's race. Anderson back to fourth. He did not take tires either. Maybe right. No, I don't see it. No right sides for Anderson. Some other drivers, though, in the midsection of this, the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, actually back to 10th as well. Very short pit stops, all under 10 seconds. Certainly fuel only, but it seems like less fuel than planned, knowing they need to make one more stop, possibly taking that short fuel stop here before the final stop of the race. We'll see how that plays out. Interesting that all of those drivers working that same strategy. As it stands right now, though, the top 11 drivers currently on the lead lap. Pretty close battle here for the top spot, though. Connor Leach, Caleb Sisk, or Joshua Sisk for that matter, be right on board with a 71. Sisk took a quick look down to the inside. Didn't have enough room to make it work. Cloud cover in and out here in Speedway, Indiana. Changing the track temperature up and down. In fact, let's take a look at it. All kinds of data here. Track temperature 104 degrees currently. Periodic cloud cover. We'll see if that changes things. Oh, Connor Leach loose on corner exit. Josh Sisk was loose in the middle of those corners. That's turn 2. Both drivers having a bit of an issue to get out of that corner, but both keep it off the wall. "25 laps to go here from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Connor Leach in command, but for how long? Joshua Sisk right there to the back bumper, trying to take that top spot away. We ride on board with the driver of the number 6 machine. Back to the main straightaway. Going to be 24 laps to go as they cross the stripe. Leach still out in front. Sisk just a 1/10 and a half, maybe 2, off the back bumper, off the tailgate of that number 71 SkunkWorksGraphics.com Toyota Tundra TRD Pro. A little bit of a wiggle on exit of turn number 2. Sorry, turn number 1 through the chute into turn 2 now, as we have Zach Millett into the broadcast booth. Thanks for joining us, Zach. Almost didn't see you there, but good to have you up here, man. How's it going?
Hey, not too bad, Steve. I couldn't find the right booth here. I was a couple different broadcasts going on. I didn't know what was going on.
Oh, it's HBR TV, as always.
I was looking for the donuts. I didn't find them, but I'm
Oh,
glad I made it.
No donuts. All right, well, you're here. We got 24 to go, and it's it's a familiar sight. The 71 and the 6 at the front of the field, with Vincent Short running third. Albert Anderson, Chris Klein, the top 5, as we're in the last third of this race, with still one more pit stop likely for fuel to be made. So, Zach, I mean, I know you've run these trucks a ton. I don't know if you've even said it, but I think this is your favorite vehicle on the service. But running here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, as we run these latter stages, what's the late strategy play here? If you're within the top 3, top 5, within striking distance, what's your play here? You're out of tires in most cases. I don't think anybody's got any left. You've got to make one more stop for sure. Is there anything you can do as a driver behind the wheel of these things to help improve your position or even take a win?
Man, the most important thing you could do is just try not to lean on that right front too hard here. It's pretty easy to burn that right front off and find yourself in the wall. Yeah, man, this place, Steve, I'm telling you, is one of the hardest places to pass, especially in the trucks, because as soon as you go to the inside lane to make a move, the guy you're passing is in that draft slipstream up top, so it makes it real tough, even though Vince Short is making it look very easy right now.
Well, Short did take a set of tires on his last stop. It's not his final stop of the day, but we kind of talked about it earlier in the broadcast prior to you joining us here in the booth. Is that last stop of the race is going to come between 5 and 15 laps to go with 2 sets of tires over the wall. If you had an extra set, did you want to take it on that second to last stop, or did you only want to get 5 to 15 laps out of them? It seems that a lot of drivers opted to take what they had on that second to last stop as to get the full benefit out of the tire. But some drivers, I think, might still have some tires over the wall.
I'm telling you, if you even have 5 laps on a new set of tires compared to guys with old stuff, you're going to be way faster. So I don't know. We'll see how far Vince gets out in front here, and that's going to be kind of the answer for us.
You know, we kind of talked about the difference in lap times, too, on those new versus old tires. We saw Vince, when he made his pit stop for fuel only, he was running, I think it was a 55 flat versus new tires. Albert Anderson was like a 53.3. That is significant here with 21 laps to go. We're just getting word here from EV Racing. I guess that Double O Joe Bennett has a set of tires still over the wall for his final stop. I don't know exactly what his strategy play is going to be, but he's running within the top 10 in the 8th spot where he started. I think he might be in good shape here to pick up some extra spots. I don't know if he's got quite enough for the win, but he's certainly got the cards stacked in his favor.
Yeah, if it was me personally, I always keep a set towards the end if at all possible.
Vincent Short still out in front here. A healthy lead over Connor Leach. About 3 seconds as they're off turn 2. And here comes Joshua Sisk in pit lane for his final stop of the day. It'll be with 20 laps to go. That's really pushing the envelope. We've seen some drivers unable to make it the full 20. I think Nick Tucker in the 88 machine was only able to go 18 laps each time. I mean, is this really, I don't know, is this a gamble, Zach? I mean, is this a way to go? I know Sisk typically has pace, but if we get a green-white checker in this thing, he's in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to be that tight, especially because he's coming in alone right now, too. He's not going to have any draft help coming back out on track, so if he's already tight on how many laps he can make on a tank, it's just not going to help the cause.
He had tires too, so Sisk is going to get back out there. That might be why he's hitting the pit lane when he does. We talked about maximizing the usage out of those fresh tires. Looks like Sisk is doing just that, knowing that 20 laps is the distance on a tank of fuel. Might as well put the tires on now as well.
I'm curious to see if it's going to drag anybody else down pit road too. They're going to see Sisk come in and grab his tires, and they know he's going to be fast coming out. Oh, man.
Connection issue for Joshua Sisk. He disappears for, well, a good couple of seconds. He's back in. Meanwhile, Vincent Short still out in front. Derek Welch says, knock, knock. Calm down, Zach.
Old DW.
There's a story there for sure.
Yeah, and it involves me in my boxers with a weapon searching the outside of my house at about 1:30 in the morning.
So Short now with a 14-second advantage over Albert Anderson. Gotta apologize to you guys, having some frame drop issues here in the stream. Trying to share the screen with our booth mate here at HBR TV with 18 laps to go, and every time I try to share it with him, we lose signal. Start dropping frames like crazy. So we're trying to get that squared away before, well, he can't help us call anything, but that's what's happening.
Tell you what, I'll just jump in a truck and get out there.
Yeah, right? So we've got a running back again here. Hopefully it keeps up here with no frame drop. Right now we're okay, but it seems like after a while it gets a little out of control. But nevertheless. Meanwhile, we've got Sarah Bugnoski. I think I'm saying that right, I hope. Millet, you can confirm, but she's jumping in the stream chat with a happy face.
Yeah, that was my bad. That was me.
Oh, that was you? Oh, all right.
Yeah, I was in between, watching the race on the YouTube TV account, and then I commented the reply to Derek, and we're all messed up over here.
I mean, I guess you could have just played it off.
Probably could have, but
Well, it is what it is. So Short's still out in front. He's got 16 seconds now on Albert Anderson. But again, both of those drivers are going to need to make a pit stop. Third place is Joshua Sisk. He has completed his final stop of the day. Well, I say that with air quotes because you never know. If we get a green-white checkered, he's definitely going to have to come down and top off the tank to make it to the end. But knock on wood. Yeah, I'm doing it for real. Hopefully we don't get a yellow. We haven't had a single one tonight. There's no stages in this series, and we haven't had an issue on track enough to justify yellow. We had the number 88 of Nick Tucker get into the inside wall on pit entry, but straightened it out in time. Didn't have to worry about throwing a yellow flag, so he stayed with it, and we stayed on a green.
Yeah, you love to see the green flag running with the pit strategies and see how everything unfolds, and just tells you how good these drivers are to be able to stay on track and keep it clean.
Well, Zach, that's what I was talking about that too prior to you jumping in here to the stream, but I was talking about strategies and how even though this place is not a road course, it's big enough, it's flat enough, and the lap times are great enough that you can almost work it like a road course and kind of plan this one backwards. You know, if it's 90 laps, you know you get 20 laps on a tank of fuel, work your pit stops backwards. You know, lap 70 would be your final stop like Sisk made, lap 50, lap 30, and then you come down at lap 10. Make that first pit stop, fuel only, get back out there, maybe take a set of tires on the second stop, that kind of thing, and then get back out there. But no one took that opportunity, and honestly, I think if they had, this race, the way that it has played out to this point, it really would have been a benefit to them.
Yeah, I think that kind of be the strategy to go with tonight, but of course it's easy to tell now. But yeah, there's a couple drivers, seems like they always do that strategy. Thinking of one right now, Sean Roberts, actually. He's always one that uses that strategy, and it works for him a lot of time.
Well, with that said, though, I mean, Sean Roberts, I don't know if anybody in the stream chat's familiar with Sean. He's been in a bunch of these Lone Star Racing events in the past. I think he's come over to Numb Thumbs and raced a bit as well. But Sean's a bit of a road racer, so I guess it doesn't really surprise me that he kind of pulls that strategy on a regular.
Yeah, the old road guys coming out with strategy. You got to stick together, Steve.
Yeah, do what you got to do. Less than 14 laps to go. Vince and Short still out in front, 18.9 seconds the advantage. I think Vince is just laying laps the best that he can. Now, if the caution comes out right now, there's only 4 trucks on the lead lap, and it looks like Double O Joe is trying to get one of those back. Joe Bennett running in the 8th position currently. 1 lap down.
Boy, Steve, you can see the difference in the timing tower. You're looking next to that number 6 truck. Look at that number just flying down.
Yep, Sisk 37 seconds back, but now Albert Anderson hits pit lane, so Sisk is going to inherit that second spot. He's got work to do, but Vincent Short still needs to make a pit stop, whereas the driver that number 6 machine does not. Fuel only for the 99. He is back at it. EV Racing says, you're the guy that tells the pitcher he's got a no-hitter going. That is 100% true. Now, Zach, we talked about this a bit before you came in as well, how much time can be gained or lost on pit entry and pit exit. I don't know if you want to share any of your secrets, but what is the best way to do just that? Try to gain track position, not so much with the pit speed as far as pit road speed is concerned, because you can only go so fast. You can't force the pit crew to go any faster, but prior to getting to that pit speed limit line, before and after, what's the best way to really try and gain track position?
Well, not to give away too many secrets, but one interesting thing about Indianapolis specifically is it really does depend on which configuration you're running, whether it be the Indy oval or the regular oval, or the NASCAR oval, because the slowdown lane or where the commitment line starts is significantly different. It's a lot further in believe on the NASCAR oval. And another thing is when you're coming around turn 2, you can wash the truck up to that second lane and it doesn't hit you for a penalty. So there's a couple little things you can, kind of stretch without getting penalized for it. And it really does make a difference, like you said.
Well, we saw that certainly as Joshua Sisk and Connor Leach maximized that benefit as far as getting in and out of pit lane. They were able to gain track position both times in doing so. Every time they've come down pit road to do just that, they picked up some extra time on the track. The first pit stop, they came out and they gained 6 seconds on the rest of the field in doing that. I felt like I was watching Zach Millett. I feel like them following you in some of these races in the past is kind of what forced them to figure out what you were doing.
It's a matter of time, Steve. It's a matter of time.
Right?
It was great while it lasted. Now there's just no advantage anymore.
Well, with 11 laps to go, we are getting closer and closer to the conclusion of this event. Joshua Sisk out in front as Vincent Short did make that final pit stop, rejoins the race in the 3rd position. Now Short came down in pit, an 8.3 second stop. That's quick, that's great, but there was a reason it was quick. He doesn't have any tires left, so it was a fuel-only stop versus Sisk and Leach. They're 1 and 2. They took their final set of tires on that pit stop. Sisk came down with 20 to go. Leach came down with 19 to go. So they're in good shape. They really don't need to worry about the 15 at all. Obviously, if a caution comes out late, I think Sisk and Leach might need to pit for fuel, but they're still going to have a tire advantage over the 15.
It is interesting how close they are, too, after the cycle, so that's going to be interesting. See if maybe there'll be a battle had in the final laps.
Sisk still out in front. He's got 1.6 back to the 71 of Connor Leach. Leach has got almost 8 seconds back to Vincent Short in that 3rd position. Then it's Chris Klein in 4th and Skylar Harrod, or Harad. Yeah, I always forget how to pronounce it, but he's still running back in the 5th position.
I believe it's Harrod.
Harrod, all right. Well, we'll go with that for now. 13 trucks back on the lead lap. Correction, 10 trucks on the lead lap. Nick Biddy being the last truck on the lead lap in the 10th position. Mark Collins running 11th. First truck 1 lap down. If we do get a caution, Collins would get that lap back as the lucky dog. But again, as the way this thing has gone, I don't expect that caution to come out. These drivers here in the Num Thumbs Racing League, pretty solid to speak of with that. And honestly, Indy, I don't know what it is about this place. It's treacherous. But once you get past the restarts here after a handful of laps, it's not that bad as far as cautions are concerned. The skill levels of all these drivers are relatively different from top to bottom, so they get separated relatively quick. Even Sisk and Leach, those guys are pretty close as far as talent level. And even they're separated by almost 2 seconds at this point. So if you don't have 40 trucks out here, you're going to get some separation.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head with how clean it is. And that is just another normal race for the NTRL. These guys come out and usually go flag to flag without any kind of issue. And I think it's all about just respect. If you're coming up on a slower driver, there's always room to be had. Nobody really puts up a fight they shouldn't do. And it's just nice to be part of it.
You know as well as anybody, you've spent a lot of time racing in this league, whether it's the Super Speedway Series, the trucks, or what have you. I'm pretty sure, yes. In fact, you've just finished completing a paint job here for the upcoming Num Thumbs Racing League Gen 6 Cup Series, which was supposed to be a truck series league this season, but they've changed it up just due to the fact that they're running this truck here in the Super Speedway Series. They decided they're going to switch the vehicle, go to the Gen 6, which I'm sure you're not complaining about. You love that particular car. What is it specifically about that Gen 6 Cup car that you like the most?
Oh man, I'm telling you, it's such an upgrade from the truck. It's arguably the best car on iRacing, in my opinion. It's just an old school stock car, but it's got some power. So you really got to save the tires, in the front and the back, because anytime you want, you can just light the rears up and just start drifting. And that's probably why I like it so much, because I'll just take the Gen 6 and start doing laps around the Nürburgring, and it doesn't get any better than that to me.
Gen 6 Cup car at the Nürburgring. Yeah, no thank you. I like road courses. I like the Gen 6 car, but no, I'm good. I'm going to set that one out.
We're going to break 7 minutes tonight. That's the goal.
Yeah, go ahead and turn the rain on next time.
There's an idea, Steve. There's an idea.
Actually, with that said, is the Gen 6 car rain enabled yet? Do we know that?
I don't think it is. I wish it were. That would be fantastic, but I don't think so yet.
I think it's just a matter of time. It's going to happen.
I would be very happy. I would give them 2 or 3 year subscription right off the bat if that happens.
Joshua Sisk still out in front of this one. Connor Leach 2.4 seconds back. Third place, Vincent Short. Chris Klein fourth. Skylar Herod in the fifth position. And it's Paul Durkee, Double O Joe, Albert Anderson, Brandon Coleman, and Nick Biddy. Double O Joe making his pit stop, lap 71. He did take 4 tires. 14.93 was the stop. Not the fastest, but still nonetheless decent. Some drivers ahead of him, though, did take tires as well. Paul Durkee. Skylar Herod took tires as well. A longer stop for Herod. I don't know if he had to back it up in the box at 16.27. And Chris Klein, kind of the same thing, of 15.78. Only driver really in contention here for the top 5, or even a win for that matter, that did not have tires on that final stop was the 15 of Vincent Short. Zach, what do you think about Vince as far as that strategy play? He's always one to go out there and try something different. You know, the whole Larry Mack line of if you follow the leader, you're going to follow the leader. Vincent Short kind of subscribes to that. He typically doesn't do what everybody else does, and sometimes it does pay off for him. But what do you think of that no-tire strategy on the final stop?
Well, I don't know. I always want to keep tires for the end. You know, I mean, if there's a caution at the end and you have the newest tires, I mean, that's a heck of an advantage, especially in these trucks. This makes such a big difference. But for Vince, and you know, he always, like you said, makes a, you know, kind of a different strategy call. And I mean, look at tonight. You know, he's in third place comfortably, and going to get him a podium, no problem.
You know, he's still got 10 plus seconds over fourth place Chris Klein, and Klein with those fresher tires, even if he's a second a lap faster at this point, he's not going to catch Vincent. So Short's got a good opportunity here in a solid podium or top 3. You know, it is oval track racing. We can't call it a podium, but you get the idea.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely best looking truck out there too. Heck of a paint scheme.
Josh Sisk still out in front, 2.2 seconds the advantage over the 71 Connor Leach, his teammate Connor Leach. Okay, guys, we're still having some frame drop issues every time I try to share this screen here with our booth partner, Zach Millett. Start losing things. Pushing it as far as I can here. I know we're trying to broadcast this race in 4K, which is just fine if I'm not trying to share it twice to somebody else as well as YouTube. So that can become an issue for some reason. Once in a while, though, we get it to work here and clean that up. So apologies for that. Again, we didn't get a chance to try that or test that. In fact, we didn't even know Zach was coming here tonight. He got finished up with another league race that he would typically run. Zach, how did that go tonight?
It went pretty well. It was the next-gen cars, and it was Nashville Super Speedway. It was pretty hairy. Dirty air was absolutely atrocious, and I very much wish I was running trucks at Indianapolis instead.
Well, I know we talked about that earlier in the week, how I don't think you remember the last time you ran there. Was the track as bumpy as we expected?
No, actually, it was pretty butter smooth. I was surprised. I was expecting the bumpy, but yeah, it wasn't bad.
See, you said Kentucky. I was thinking Nashville. I think Nashville's the bumpy one. Kentucky was really bumpy until they resurfaced it. Now it's pretty smooth.
It's a bunch of those tracks that I just kind of think are all the same place. And I think it's Kentucky, Kansas, Chicagoland. All those are just, for some reason in my head, the same exact place.
Less than 2 laps to go. Joshua Sisk out in front, still well in command. A 2-second advantage. Leach is starting to chip away at it, but too little too late, I think, here for the 71 machine. He started here on the pole position this afternoon, but Joshua Sisk taking the white flag, crosses the stripe. One more circuit around, and the 6 machine will take a checkered flag. A race win, possibly here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway for Joshua Sisk. Zach, I know you've trading paint with the driver of that number 6 machine quite a few times in this league. We're looking forward to seeing more of that here. I don't know if Sisk is running the Gen 6 series, but have you heard otherwise?
I know he was on the fence the last time we talked, but yeah, it's always fun racing all those guys. Really, it's a blast every single race, and it's always close every time.
I think you goad him into it, but nonetheless here, no competition out the back window for Joshua Sisk. Getting ready to cross the stripe here, looking for a checkered flag here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Joshua Sisk from the second starting position. He crosses the stripe first. Connor Leach will come home in the second spot, and Vincent Short likely to lock up that third position. In fact, he is still out there running just off turn number 4, and here he comes back to start finish. Vincent Short will be your third place finisher here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Josh Sisk, your race winner here from Indy. Joshua Sisk back to start finish with Connor Leach in tow, Vincent Short as well. So you're just going to park it? No burnouts? No smoke show? Skylar Harrod jumping in there just to say hey. I think this is a team photo. I think that's the purpose of that. But with that said, we'll jump out here. We're going to get a quick break out of the way. We'll pull our top 3 finishers into the booth after this. Stay with us. We'll be back after this.
I met Marco Scarza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Back at Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the Dumb Thumbs Racing League Davidson Builders Super Speedway Series, a surprise broadcast from us here at HBR TV this evening. Happy to do it. Good race to watch on top of all of that. Joshua Sisk taking the checkered flag, otherwise known as Caleb Sisk, for those that are not necessarily in the know. But either way, we've got Caleb here just about ready. We're going to chat with the driver of that number 6 machine, get a word from our race winner, the driver of the number 6 skunkworks.com machine. It's Caleb Sisk. Steve in the booth, you got us?
Yes, sir, I got you. I'm trying to get used to push to talk, so forgive me if I come in and out.
I know it's your first week on iRacing, but you've shown to be pretty good regardless of how long you've been doing it. Josh, congratulations on the race win here at Indy. Started outside front row. I don't know if it was strategy or if it was just raw pace. It seemed like you and the 71, Connor Leach, both had this place figured out, whether it was strategy or otherwise. What was the key to success here tonight?
Yeah, we were going to run the first set 2 stints and run the second set 2 stints, and I started to realize I was pulling away from him, so I started to push the pace a little bit more, knowing I had plenty of tire. And I ate the outside wall. I don't know if you caught that on TV, so I played catch up for the middle part of that race because driver error there. I was asleep at the wheel.
You know, we saw some of that early on, and at first I was thinking it might have been because Vince had fresh tires versus you guys that didn't take them. We did see a couple of guys get a piece of that outside wall with the right side of the truck, but again, everybody continued on. We stayed green all race long. That's even better. That's certainly impressive. But fuel strategy, wanted to touch base on that. We saw you come down, hit pit road with 20 laps to go for that final splash of fuel, or full tank of fuel, I should say. You ran out on the cool down, is what I understand. Were you concerned that you weren't going to make it to the end? And what was the plan if a green-white checkered became a problem?
I was not concerned that I wasn't going to make it. I knew it was going to be close, but as the run goes, you know, you start lifting and rolling more. I just didn't expect a caution, so I kind of risked it. I thought that the undercut was the move and get the clean air, and if there was going to be a yellow, could I save enough under yellow? If it happened late, like you said, for a green-white checkered, I probably would have had to pit for fuel and race back to the top 3 or 5. I treated the tires pretty well there until about 5 to go, so I don't know. I mean, you know how it is. Sometimes you're lucky, sometimes you're not on strategy, and thankfully it worked out.
Well, you and Connor Leach certainly had a lot of pace here tonight. He did edge you out slightly for a faster lap by a few hundredths of a second, but at the end of the day, it just matters who gets to that stripe first. That was you, Mr. Sisk, and the driver of the number 6 machine. Looking forward to next week. I'm not sure where you're running because, well, I don't typically broadcast this series, but what are the odds you go 2 in a row?
I really want to go 2 in a row from tonight to tomorrow night. I know Mr. Zach Millett doesn't want me to say that or want that to happen, but I am hopeful to go 2 in a row from last Monday to tomorrow night. It's pretty unlikely in this league. I've had 0 luck. If you'd have told me I got 2 wins against Millett in the Cup car before I got 2 wins in the Super Speedway Series, I would have thought you were crazy. But, man, I've had terrible luck. I've been involved in a lot of crashes. It's just... man, you just roll the dice and hope you don't see snake eyes.
Well, it certainly didn't see snake eyes tonight. Saw checkers for certain before anybody else. Congratulations on the race win here tonight. Josh, who do you want to thank before we let you get out of here?
Man, big shout out to Skunk Works. They still stuck with us, take care of us. Also, we're really thinking about opening up a speed shop here. We got passingunderyellow.com still supporting us with setups, but I'm thinking about going out on my own. So looking for some people to run some test setups that I've got for the next gen car. We'll see how that goes and just play it by ear.
Certainly we'll ask around about that. Josh, thanks for talking to us. Congratulations on the win here at Indy. We'll talk to you the next one.
Appreciate you, Steve.
Josh Sisk, your race winner here at Indy. Next, we're going to pull second place machine. Driver the number 71, Connor Leach, up into the broadcast booth. Put it on pole position, unable to complete the deal, but still a solid finish in that second spot. Connor, it's Steve and Zach in the HBR TV booth. You got us?
Yeah, man, I got you.
Connor, congratulations. Long time no talk, but a solid run here for you at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Put it on pole position, a little bit faster than Sisk in qualifying, and honestly a little bit faster than him in this race as far as best lap time is concerned. But on the long run, it looks like he takes the checkered flag. You finish second. What was the difference between you two tonight? Was it strategy? Was it raw pace on the long run? What was it that made the difference?
I mean, our strategies were basically the same. Double stint in the first set of tires, same with the second, and then just coming in when that fuel window opened up for the last set and put a fresh one on for the last run. But I mean, I got the technically lead from him at one point when he hit the wall pretty hard and he was nursing some damage, and then I just before coming in for my second to last pit stop, I scuffed the wall a bit. Well, it doesn't seem to be. I shouldn't have any other issues, and I used the fast repair, and then stayed ahead of Sisk there. And then at some point, I smoked the wall, and I was trying hard to hold him back. And then he pit a little earlier. I didn't think we'd make it. Like, he barely made it. You know, obviously he couldn't do any burnouts or anything like that, so he didn't have enough fuel for that. But I thought we weren't going to be able to make it, and he dove into pits and said, "Oh, you, yeah." I thought we were going to come in pits at the same time.
Pulled a fast one on you, and it worked out for him, but a second place finish, certainly nothing to shake a stick at. Next week, I don't know where we're at necessarily. I think AAA Broadcasting is going to pick that back up, but what do you think the odds are maybe to pick up a win next week instead of your teammate Josh Sisk?
Well, we're going to give it our best. I think next week we're at Talladega, so, you know, that's what Super Speedway racing all about. Just, you don't know what's going to happen, and anything can happen, so we'll see how it goes there. Hopefully we get a good run in. I think it's the start of the playoffs now, and I think with this finish I should be into the top 10 for playoffs, and hopefully we can make something happen later on.
Well, either way, a strong run tonight. Congratulations on the pole position and a runner-up finish at the end of this thing. Connor, who do you want to shout out to before we let you go?
Just shout out the guys in the team. We got Skunkwork Graphics putting their apps on the car, Alan, and then Skylar. I think he finished 5th. Good run for him. And then Caleb. Good group of guys we got. It's fun racing out here in these Super Speedway leagues. This one's, I guess, not really a Super Speedway, but a bit of drafting involved, and it was a fun race.
All right, Connor. Well, thanks for talking to us, man. We'll catch you again down the road.
Alrighty, thanks for putting on the show, guys.
Thanks. Connor Leach, your runner-up here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Next, Zach Millett is with Vincent Short. We'll pull Vince, our third-place finisher, into the booth. Zach, take it away.
Vince Short, good to see you, buddy. It's a heck of a finish tonight, 3rd place. Walk us through your strategy tonight. You know, taking tires the first 2 stops, and how did the truck feel towards the end there?
Well, I'd practiced earlier and kind of figured out the tire wear based on length of runs and stuff. With the shorter field, I didn't expect a whole lot of yellows, so it was just a gas strategy, which worked for me for the first couple stops. I had planned on taking tires on that first set. Was kind of amazed at how much I still had left on the tires after that first stop, so I was a little angry. But I knew I was going to stretch that second set. The fuel strategy was working for me perfect through the first 2 or 3 stops. On the last one, I forgot to toggle the gas back a little bit, so I ended up in the pits a little longer than I wanted to, so it kind of killed that strategy. But my goal all along through the season was just good, clean finishes, top 10s, and end up at the top of the points ladder at the end of the season before the playoffs start. Then it's anybody's game.
That's definitely the big picture, you know, the points at the end of the season. He definitely helped tonight being 3rd place. You think you had anything for him if the caution came out towards the end and bunched everybody up?
No, I think they took their second or last set of tires a little later than I did. So on that last set, I didn't go full throttle the whole race up until that last stop, and then I was full send. But by then, I didn't have a lot of tires, so I had to gauge my entries a little better and have a little shorter apex. So every time I did that, it just gained them about 3/10 every lap. So
yeah, those tires are incredibly important, especially on these trucks. What do you think about next week? I think you guys go to Talladega. You going to get the W?
Well, that's the plan, man. That's one of my strong tracks. It's just a matter of staying out of the soup and put myself in position at the end there where I can hopefully get some help and get myself to the front.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, we'll be watching like always. Who would you like to thank?
First and foremost, my family, my daughters, my kids, and everybody watching tonight. I had quite a few people that were tagged to watch it, and I noticed that some of them did watch it. My team, Track Bar Motorsports, everybody on the team, Holler Boys Racing TV. Obviously, it's kind of nice to hear Steve's voice again. Kind of missed it, so it was kind of nice tonight to have you guys in there.
Thanks, Vince.
And especially NTRL. Derek has been through an awful lot these past few months. Asked that everybody say a prayer for him, keep him in their thoughts and prayers. He's worked really hard to make this league clean and a good, fun league. It's been a battle all year, but hopefully the playoffs add a little spice to it.
Well, Vince, thanks for talking to us, man. Congratulations on that third place finish, man. Other than who do you want to thank? Thanks for talking to us, man. And maybe we'll talk again in the future. I'm sure we'll be chit-chatting in the meantime, but hopefully we can call some more of these races that you run well in.
Same for. Thanks a lot, guys.
It's Vincent Short, your third place finisher here from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. That's going to do it for our interview portion of tonight's race. Let's jump into the race results. Of course, they're not even working. So, again, the only hiccup we've had tonight for the last minute broadcast. We'll try to thumb through it the best that we can. Of course, Josh Sisk, your race winner. Connor Leach was second. Vincent Short finished out in the third position. Chris Klein was fourth. Fifth place was Skylar Harrod. Paul Durkee, sixth. Seventh went to Double O Joe Bennett, that is. Eighth was Brandon Coleman. Albert Anderson, ninth. Nick Biddy finished out in the 10th spot. Mark Collins was 11th. Anthony Williams, 12th. Chuck Kiger, again, apologies if I'm saying that wrong. Maybe it's Kiger, I don't know. 13th for the number 22 machine. Tom Barish was 14th. 15th finisher was the 31 of Scott Milner. Ben McKinnon, 16th. 17th was Nick Tucker. Joe David, 18th. Justin Lawson was 19th. And last but not least was the 78 machine of Chris Jordan. He finishes out in the 20th position. Got to thank you guys all for tuning in here tonight. This was a definite last minute, within the final, not even an hour prior to green flag. 40 minutes is all we had to get situated and set up for tonight's race. Luckily, we had some things already preset from previous seasons with Numb Thumbs Racing League, as we've been covering them for a while now. We certainly do appreciate Derek for jumping in and calling us to say, hey, I'm in a bind, AAA can't make it, can you help us out? They've done it for us, we're doing it for them. We certainly do appreciate that on all fronts. So again, AAA Broadcasting going to pick things back up next week at Talladega Super Speedway as this season continues on. And as far as HBR TV is concerned, covering with Numb Thumbs Racing, we'll be back here, I think, in late July, covering the Gen 6 Cup Series here with Numb Thumbs Racing. So join us for that. Certainly continue to watch AAA Broadcasting for the rest of the Super Speedway Series. Got to thank Zach Millett for jumping in here unannounced, really. He shot me a text message. I'll be there shortly. And with the last third of this race, certainly appreciate his attendance here in the booth. Certainly makes things easier, Zach. So I do appreciate that. As always, thanks for joining us here in the booth.
Yeah, you bet, man. It was I was moving pretty quick to get from Nashville to Indy, but I made it just in time.
The wonders of modern technology certainly make it all happen. But Zach, I do appreciate it as always. It's always significantly a better broadcast when I've got you up here with us. So again, thanks guys for tuning in. Certainly be here for the next one. We would normally be covering the IROC Challenge Series tomorrow evening, their penultimate race. Unfortunately, I'm going to be out of town for my day job's commitment, so not going to be able to cover that one, but we should be here live for the race finale, the season finale of the IROC Challenge Series. They're running the late model stock here. So tune it in a week from tomorrow here at HBR TV. Tune it in here, youtube.com/@HBR TV and the number 1 for all the live broadcasts. Of course, if you're involved in any of these leagues, you can find those links in their Discords as well every time we get them posted up. Share them with your friends and family. We'd love everybody to jump in here and say hello and tune in and watch all this racing action. So with that, we're going to step out. Thanks for Zach Millett to jump up here in the booth. Thank you guys all for tuning in. For Zach, I'm Steve Singer with HBR TV, congratulating Josh Sisk in the race win here at Indianapolis. Thanks, guys. We'll see you at the next one.